Hello, long time no see. I'm currently very busy with work and running the observatory is often quite time consuming as we have a lot of visitors and events. That's why my videos are a bit scarce at the moment, but astronomically things are better for me than ever. I'll be happy to report on that from time to time. Just recently I found some time to work on something that has been on my mind for a while. Ein Seeing-Staubsauger. So a seeing vacuum cleaner, that's what Germans call a telescope with a large aperture, as it is said that with increasing aperture the effects of atmospheric turbulences are also absorbed. But is that really true? I've mentioned before that the seeing here on the North Sea coast is very unforgiving. So should we really use smaller apertures for planets and not even bother with larger telescopes? I'll answer that question in this video. In early March, Jupiter is still high enough in the sky, so it's the protagonist of this video. Next we need several planetary telescopes of different apertures. From small to large, we have a Vixen 110mm telescope, a Skywatcher Skymax 127, Maksutov, a Meade 12-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain and the ever-popular C14. The weather forecast predicts strong winds and poor seeing. Which telescope is best for observing under these bad conditions? Does a larger aperture reveal more details or does a smaller aperture win? Does seeing really have less impact on it, allowing a small telescope to fully utilize its aperture? Let's find out. This is not a test under laboratory conditions. Ideally all telescopes would operate in exactly the same air corridor at the same time, but that's not feasible. Therefore, this is an approximate test of the hypothesis. All telescopes are mounted on a CGEM except the C14, which remains on its Alt-D mount. The images were taken as quickly as possible in succession. The best images from each series of 3 90-second videos are used. Of course, the frame rates differ due to the different amount of light that falls on the sensor. The images are processed using the same workflow, but the processing rates vary to achieve the best results. While there might be unfortunate moments that could skew the results slightly, it's not expected that the seeing suddenly becomes perfect during one exposure and distorts the outcome. All images are captured with a ZWO ASI 290MC camera. Also used are a ZWO ADC and a 2x Barlow. Let's start with the smallest scope, the Vixen 110mm. Here's the live view. This is the best result from the 3 sets of 90-second videos. Next up is the Skymax 127. Here's the live view. I've never used the Vixen before, but I've had the Skymax for a long time and it always seemed to be the least affected by seeing. It never produces as detailed images as a telescope with 10 inches or more, but it consistently produces good images. Will the test prove this? We'll see. Time for the best image from the 3 series. Now it gets tough. Let's go big. The Meade 12-inch SC always seemed easily affected by the seeing to me, but under the right conditions it can produce great and sharp planetary images. My best images so far have been taken with it. Here's the result with the 12-inch. It doesn't look so good, but given the seeing, that's not surprising. Lastly, we come to the C14, the ultimate seeing vacuum cleaner. Focusing is hardly possible under these conditions. The results reflect this accordingly. Here we see all 4 images compared. If you paid attention, you can immediately recognize which is which. In my opinion, the Skywatcher 127 image is truly the best compared to the Vixen 110mm. It's a bit more detailed. At the same time, it displays the details very clearly. This is especially noticeable with Jupiter's moon, which appears perfectly round and is hardly recognizable as a circular disk with the larger telescopes due to the seeing. For me personally, the result with the Maksutov is the best. In short, although this test doesn't claim to be universally valid, it clearly shows me that there is indeed something to the idea that small apertures are more sensible in poor seeing conditions than struggling with large apertures. The latter is always done in the hope of having good moments when the larger aperture pays off. However, my experience is that is usually not the case. I can't think of a single situation where the larger aperture pays off in poor seeing conditions. What do I take away from this? In poor seeing conditions, I enjoyed the SkyMax with its perfect combination of aperture, but without significant susceptibility to seeing. Ideally, the large telescope is ready for use nearby in case the seeing unexpectedly improves. However, starting with the large telescope from the beginning could quickly become frustrating. It's best to simply move to where the seeing is top-notch. Until then, I hope you enjoyed my test and maybe you will hit the subscribe and like buttons to make me happy. Thank you and clear skies. Goodbye.